Hello and welcome to the Move Your Business Forward podcast. These talks are hosted by Rob Boll, founder of Evoke Management and CEO of International Leaders UK. We'll be talking with experts from both these companies about issues that affect SME companies today.
Welcome to this episode of the Move Your Business Forward podcast. Today I'm joined by Jason Green. Jason Green is one of the industry experts at International Leaders UK that I run, and he is a certified EOS implementer. Jason, great to have you here with me today. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you, Rob, for inviting me on your podcast.
We're not going to just talk about EOS, but some people might be thinking, what the hell is EOS? And if they do, there's a book about it, so we can put them at the end of this. But at the moment, I'm just keen to just talk to you, Jason, a bit about your background. You're obviously working with companies now and helping them work through the entrepreneur's operating system, EOS.
Yep.
But let's go back a bit. Yeah, your entrepreneur journey, your own entrepreneurial journey, before the work you do now. It'd be great just to get a bit of a potted history as to what you've done, what was good about that, what went well, what maybe didn't go so well, and what led you to find EOS. Really, it'd be great to chat about that.
Okay, I mean, we could go quite a long way back. I mean, but I think entrepreneurial spirit probably comes from my dad. He was a hairdresser, had multiple shops, multiple staff, and my early days of being in those shops was washing people's hair for him. But he sort of gave me that impetus to, I guess, to go and do my own thing rather than work for someone. I saw him do it. Yeah. So I guess that's where it comes from. Just a sort of brief history. I think my first real taste of what it's like to be in an entrepreneurial organization was a company called Internet Securities. Mm-hmm. This was back in sort of 1994. Yeah. And we were providing financial information to the JP Morgans, Morgan Stanleys of the world, a little bit like Reuters or Bloomberg's, but for emerging markets. So it was all Eastern Europe, Latin America, China, and we were providing that information on the internet in 1994. Oh wow! Which was fairly challenging, and I was heading up the technology for the business. So I was their CTO, and I was about number 5 or 6 to join the leadership team. And we grew that company over a few years to about 250 people. Oh, wow. It was about 13, 14 companies. And we sold it to a company called Euromoney, which owns the Daily Mail. I think it's now owned by Thomson Reuters. These things happen. So that was a great success. That was a success story. And so coming out of that, myself and a couple of friends that, got to know each other in that successful journey, we created a software as a service business, SaaS business. I think it was called an ASP, Application Service Provider, at the time. So we created around about year 2000, we created this business that was going to help procurement departments better go through the RFP and tender process. So it helped you build an RFP, work as a team, get that out to your suppliers, have them market, and then be scoring metrics and all that sort of stuff. Way before its time, we went out, we raised a few $1 million. We spent it all, and we came crashing down.
Oh no! Yeah,
and that was really painful to go through. When we had to go and see the lawyers and close the company down. We had an office in San Francisco, one in London, and had to let all the staff go, and that was pretty upsetting, and probably took me a couple of years to really lick my wounds and recover from that. I was probably about 30 at the time, and then following that, I started an IT managed service provider business, and that was sort of probably the last big venture. And that one was, we were doing okay. And I really hate that word now. doing okay. It's fine. It's okay. And we sort of bumbled along. I'd like to say for a couple of years, but if I'm honest with you, for way too long, probably about 10 years.
Yeah.
We bungled along, revenue grew, but we weren't making much profit, if I'm honest about it. I was getting frustrated, because we weren't achieving, we had what I thought were good people. They probably weren't in the end, but I was probably frustrated with everyone. I thought they knew, I thought everybody knew where we were going.
Yeah.
But we didn't, but that was my fault. There's a moment in that business when I realized the problem was me, not everybody else.
Yeah.
So I was, for many years I played the victim. I think I was a victim of everyone being rubbish.
Yeah.
In my business, and it was an enlightening moment. And that moment when a good friend of mine gave me a book, Traction, which I think you've got a copy of there.
There it is.
I read that book. Actually, it's really interesting. I can take my journey from where I am now to one moment. I'm running this IT managed service provider business. I went to an exhibition at Olympia or Excel. I can't remember which one it was. And at that exhibition, there was a company called ConnectWise. And ConnectWise, they provide like an ERP system for IT managed service providers. And first of all, I was like, shit, I've been doing this for 10 years. How the hell didn't I know about the system? Anyway, they said, why don't you, we'll fly you to Florida and to our thing called IT Nation, and we'll show you what this is all about. So I went there. I met a guy called Gary Pico who did a presentation, and he explained why ISPs weren't doing very well. And I sort of stood there and was like, oh my God, he's explaining exactly why we're not succeeding. And he handed out that book, Traction.
Right.
And I read the book. I thought, we've read all the books, 7 Habits. I read them all. But this one, I read it and I was just like, Jason, why haven't you been doing this stuff for the last 10 years? You are the problem, because you're not right. I wasn't running the business well. So that's what led me to EOS.
So that one moment you got flown over to Florida, heard a talk, and got that book. And you mentioned before that you'd obviously shifted your thinking between, is it you're surrounded by, I guess, the wrong people or people that weren't good enough, or whether it's actually you. That's clearly a moment that is a tough thing to kind of, in some ways, comprehend or get your head around as well. So that was obviously a moment prior to this. So maybe you're on the lookout for something to fix that problem, or
possibly. Maybe I was on the cusp of really becoming more self-aware. And changing my mindset from a fixed mindset to a sort of growth or open mindset. So something must have been going on at the stage that sort of led me down that path. But it is quite a cathartic moment when you realize that you're the issue, and you're holding yourself back, you're holding the business back, you're holding your people back. It is I don't know how when I look back, I was like, how could I have been so naive? How could I have been so sort of self-centered? But life's a journey, and that was about 10 years ago now. So
10 years ago, you came across this book, you read it, it obviously resonated with you. So what happened next in terms of how it changed you, the business, and led into what you're actually doing now?
Yeah. So, it just, what resonated with me is, I read a lot of had read a lot of business books, and a lot of the business books are very theoretical. You should do this and do this and do this and do this. This just laid out a set of tools, a set of things that you can go and apply and embed in your business. And if you just do these, it's really like 20 simple things. It's going to help you, get everybody, understanding. Well, it got everybody understanding my vision. Where, and I didn't have it. I mean, did I have a vision? I sort of had a vision, but I'd never written it down. So, and there's a great example in Alice in Wonderland, I think, with the Cheshire Cat. And Alice goes to the Cheshire Cat. There's 2 roads to go, and she goes, "Which road should I take?" And the Cheshire Cat's all, "Where do you want to get to?" And she goes, "I don't know." And he goes, "Well, either is good for you then."
Yeah.
And that was me. I hadn't really figured out where I was going. So, because I didn't know where I was going, no one else really knew where they were going either. So it just helped us figure out where, which mountain we wanted to climb, and making sure that we were all climbing the same mountain. And then it just put a little bit of rigor and a bit of discipline in my business. So we were working together as a team, to execute on that vision. And we, if you've read EOS, traction, it's all about this 90-day world, but it just got us all, marching in the same direction rather than all marching in different directions, which is what it was like before. It gave everybody clear expectations of what they need, how they needed to behave, what they needed to do on a weekly and quarterly basis. Just simple stuff that every business should do. And I think, we all sort of go along in our business careers grabbing things, thinking, oh, this will work, and this might work, and this might work. And then you end up with this hodgepodge of stuff that isn't really integrated and isn't optimal for helping you achieve what you want to achieve. And so that's what EOS gave us, was a way to work together to achieve, what we wanted to achieve.
No, well, that's a great way you've described your story and how you've come across it. And I think what I really like about EOS is, essentially it's giving almost like an operating system for a business to run on, which means everyone can understand what we're trying to do in terms of structure of meetings, progress over those 90 days, where the vision of the business is, and have the opportunity for people to have an impact into that as well. And just get everyone on the same page, and especially management, making sure they're actually understanding who's accountable for what and what's going on. So I think it's great, and I've seen a number of companies use it, and I've seen companies use parts of it as well, because I think the ultimate, if you're going to embed something like this in your business, is obviously to go the whole hog and get someone like you to come in and help implement it, teach the team how to use it. Other things are right, one bit, let's just get one bit working for us, and then we can build on that. So what for you, having been on that entrepreneurial side and having been in 3 businesses, and potentially there's things even going back to your dad's business, there's things there that might have been easier, having known this. What's your biggest learnings from having this operating system embedded in the business? What are your biggest takeaways from that?
Well, first of all, for me, it was sort of letting go. One of my issues was I wanted to know everything that was going on in the business. So I think letting go, but to let go, you've got to put the right infrastructure in place so you can let go with confidence. So you've got to have, we call it the right people in the right seat. You've got to have this, the tools in EOS, so if you want to go and see what's going on in, the marketing function, you can go look at their scorecard and see, are they on track with their numbers on a weekly basis? Oh, yeah, they're great. Yeah, that's great. Or you can go off and, look at the finance scorecard, their weekly numbers. You can see that people are completing their rocks every 90 days. So you can get comfort that you can see that people are setting clear expectations. You're setting clear expectations of what they should be doing, and you can inspect what you expect. Not in a micro management way, but just an overview. And you've got, at the leadership team, you've got to get the right people on that bus.
Yeah,
at the leadership team. Because you've got to trust them. You've got to trust them that they are gonna, they're gonna work together as a team, and they're going to, execute on your vision.
And I think mentioning that specific thing around the right people, I think what I have taken from parts of the EOS system is, and I see this in many businesses, understanding people that should be in the business, people that shouldn't, actually how you have those awkward conversations, which no one ever wants to have. But sometimes when you're doing it with people that have been there from the beginning or have been there from a long time, they're challenging conversations to have. And I think there's ways within this system to get people to almost rule themselves out, and they go, actually, I don't think I should be in the business. Or if that doesn't work, you've got some context to actually have a conversation around why someone's probably not right for that seat or for the business in total. I think that makes such an easy way to have some of those conversations.
Yeah, I think exactly right. It gives you the tools to have those difficult conversations.
Yeah.
And like you said, it also helps the people in the business realize whether they're a good fit for you or not going forward. And it's challenging. When people are involved, it's difficult. Emotions come into it. But essentially, ultimately, you got to do what's best for the greater good of the business.
No, 100%
in the long run.
100%.
Yeah.
So,
and I made that mistake for years. I had people in my business that didn't fit, weren't great at their job, but I had no way of, pre-EOS, I had no way of having that conversation. It felt like I was just nitpicking.
Yep.
When I was having that because I hadn't told them how they should behave.
Yep.
And I hadn't given them clear accountability of what they were accountable for. And so if you don't do those two things, how can you have a conversation?
Yeah.
With someone?
No, agreed. Yeah, no, agreed. Well, I think those the couple of aspects we've just talked on, for any business that might be listening to this and might have gone through the various steps that you have of just, it's okay, but you haven't got the business to. There's this phrase of getting the business to a point where it's a good profitable business, so making a decent profit where bits of it work without you. You're right. That's kind of the ultimate dream, isn't it, for a business owner, an entrepreneur? So if anyone's listening to this and thinking, right, I need to make some changes here or do something, have you got your 3 top tips for anyone that's kind of in that position you're in 10 years ago?
3 top tips.
Yeah.
3 top tips. So one, I think ask yourself, why is, for me it was sort of, we sort of hit a ceiling. Really ask yourself why you've hit this ceiling. Usually the answer will be it's you.
Yeah.
You're holding the, you want to wrap your arms around the whole business. You haven't got the right people on your bus. You haven't systemized, whatever it is, got to ask yourself, why isn't the business succeeding? I think 90% of the time it'll be you. Secondly, read EOS. I mean, seriously, just get a copy. And
by that you mean the traction book, that
traction book, read the traction book by Gino Wickman. And if that resonates with you, get in touch with an EOS implementer, and get a 90-minute meeting. I know that's a bit of a sales sales thing, but really,
well, I think for some people, and at the end of the day, buying a book and listening to it, I mean, I'm not a massive reader. I do a lot of audiobooks, so I've listened to Traction a number of times, and sometimes I revisit it. I think the 90-minute meeting that someone like you offers is a no-brainer because it's free, right? You're just coming in and trying to demonstrate there's value here to be had. And if people are happy and see that, then they can continue. But I think the key thing is, if you want a business that's going to accelerate to a point where you're making more profit, you've got an engaged team and everyone knows what they're going to be doing, and you can run it as a proper leader of the business, then why would you not do it? And it's, some people have managed to figure this out themselves, or they've run other businesses and probably applying some of the same stuff. But if you've not quite got to that level, it is an element of a bit of a no-brainer to have someone come in and help with this. And I think the companies that I've seen that have embedded this in their business or parts of it, I think can only have good things to say about it. And it's not saying you lose all your ability to innovate or have control. This is just a structure to allow all those good things to happen, right? In a structured way that's linked to what the business is trying to achieve. I think that's the key thing, isn't it? It's people can have the ideas, entrepreneurs can do the things they want to do, but have some form of structure where you can actually control the crazy thinking to make sure it's done in the right way, right?
Exactly. It gives you just enough structure and discipline, where you can run a more effective business, get where you want to go with less effort and in a faster, quicker amount of time, but without dampening that entrepreneurial flair. Got you through the first 2 or 3 years, because the first 2 or 3 years, I even think it should be a bit chaotic and fun and sort of a bit relentless, and you're just doing everything you can. But at some point, as you get to 10, 15, 20 staff, you've got to grow up a bit. You've got to have a bit of structure in there, otherwise it's just chaos. And complexity just grows exponentially within a business. So you've got to simplify, you've got to structure, and just help you break through, because no business grows in a straight line. Every business hits ceilings. And EOS just helps you break through those ceilings so you can achieve whatever you set out.
No, agreed. No, well, that makes sense. I guess the other thing, just to touch on before we wrap this up, because we've only got a few minutes left, is alongside something like EOS, I know you've mentioned to me before a couple of the things that you'd always recommend the business also engage with, because obviously one thing is structure to get your current team all on the same page and identify those gaps where you might need more people. But there must be other things there that are important alongside something like this. Anything there you want to share?
What sort of things are you?
Well, I know you've said to me before, having coaching and access to other people, other companies is a good thing.
I think an entrepreneur needs 3 things to optimize their business. So they need an operating system, which is what we've been talking about, something like EOS. There's a few out there. There's Scaling Up, there's, I think, eMyth. What I would say to entrepreneurs is just pick an operating system, anyone, one that works, and just implement it in your business. Secondly, you need a coach. All great athletes. Some of them have like 7 coaches. So all great athletes have a coach. Sometimes you can't see yourself playing the game, so get a coach to become the best version of yourself. Also recommend that leadership team, anyone on a leadership team should have a coach as well. And thirdly, get a peer group. Find a bunch of entrepreneurs that are going through similar stuff to you, so you can share ideas and you can learn from each other. So if you've got an operating system, a coach, and a peer group, and obviously, international leaders provide the coaching and the peer group part of that, those 3 stools of 3 legs of a stool.
No, perfect. I agree. I think, and as you say, the EOS isn't the only operating system. There are some others out there, but finding one that works for you and choosing it is the key thing, right?
Choose it, stick with it, run with it.
Cool.
Transform your business.
Awesome. Jason, I really enjoyed talking to you today, so thanks for this. And
you're welcome.
Hopefully some useful sound bites for people to pick up on for their own business. So thank you, Jason. I appreciate you joining.
You're welcome. Thanks very much.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like more information about the topics discussed in this podcast, then you can find us on our website at moveyourbusinessforward.com.